Hey everybody, welcome to Sama. Thanks for giving me a bit of your time and spending some energy here listening to music and checking out some interesting stories of artists from all over the world and the producers and agents and writers who help bring their work and their art to life. I'm Derek Mazzoni. It's August here in Seattle. It's hot. We're still in the middle of it, my dear friends. I know the last time I was a little more hopeful, saying, hey, looks like we're coming out of it, but it looks like we still have to be vigilant. I wear a mask regularly, and I carry a mask in my pocket. Maybe that's going to be the future. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I got a special Sama session with you today. We're going to be talking to a couple of people who are responsible for bringing to life and releasing a beautiful record. Came out on July 30th, so it's brand new. It's called Changüí, The Sound of Guantánamo. Now, obviously, when you say Guantánamo and you're in the United States, a particular image comes to mind. That image is, of course, of a prison and a little sliver of the island of Cuba. But Guantánamo is a really fascinating place. It's the most eastern part of Cuba. One of the producers we're going to be talking today, Gianluca, but refer to it as the deep south of Cuba, which really is a vivid way to look at it. Another way that culture in Cuba and music in Cuba is presented to the world, that it starts in the east and works its way west, as in here, starts in the south and works its way up. So it's a really wonderful metaphor. The box set is fabulous. We're going to be seeing some footage of the recording, some fabulous musicians, and also learn a little bit about a culture and a neighbor that we don't know much about, that has a different political system, has a vibrant identity. It's one of those places where if you're Cuban, it's like, it's so much a part of the way you present yourself. And to me personally, especially as an immigrant to this country, if we get to know this culture and country a bit more outside of the propaganda ecosystem that we seem to be in around this place, it will help us a lot. So thanks for being here very much. I want to introduce right now Gianluca Tramontana, whose roots music expertise has been featured in numerous pieces for Mojo Magazine, Rolling Stone, NPR, and BBC, and has been visiting Cuba since the 90s. And also, he shared some of these recordings with an old friend and colleague, four-time Grammy-winning producer Steve Rosenthal. Rosenthal, known for his archival and restoration work for Alan Lomax, Woody Guthrie, and Les Paul. He immediately recognized the value of this work, and now they have a box set out, and it is out on Petaluma Records. Thank you, Petaluma, for bringing this out. Here we go. So, Gianluca, hi. Steve, hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Derek. Thank you for having us on. This is great.
Thank you for being here. So you're both in New York.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cross our fingers to the gremlins and the Wi-Fi dogs
Yes.
to make sure that we can do this. I love the town. I was just there just very recently, and with my family for the first time. We did it all. It was really lovely. I have to share this with you because it was hot as hell, but we were all over the Lower East Side. We got off on Canal Street, had great soba, worked our way up, and we finished with a carriage ride through Central Park. This was my daughter's first time in New York, and I was like,
okay, that's
and
a
we got off.
Classic.
It's a classic, but then we had some time before we went to the High Line to have dinner with my cousin who lives in New York. And my wife walked out, and suddenly she walked in the middle of a rat fight, and it was classic.
That's
and
classic New York.
That's classic New York. She's like, "What the hell's up with these rats?" And they're like, "I was like, not a care at all." And she's fine, It's like, but it's like, whoa, yeah. It's like New York. Welcome, we're here. Yeah. So thank you for being here. I want to do just a quick little chat, and then I want to play a little bit of music from Mickey and his brothers family reunion, which is the first video that you shared with me. Gianluca, Cuba, why?
Oh, well, oh my goodness. Well, why did I go there to begin with? Well,
why don't you go there and actually, it is one thing to go there. We travel.
yeah.
It's another thing to go there and go like, hey, I want to do this with this.
Yeah.
What was it that?
Well,
I've
definitely never vacationed in Cuba. It was always a pilgrimage for me, really. So I went for the first time in during the Periodo Especial in the early 90s. And the culture and the Cuban people really spun my head around. And you know, most of what we hear in music comes from Cuba. Actually, there's you know, Ned Sublette wrote a whole book about it. So 800 pages.
Tell me more. How do you mean what we hear music comes from Cuba?
Oh, well, I should leave that for the musicologists. But in short, it's where African rhythms, Spanish melodies, informed by Islam melodies collide. And they leap over to the US, mainly New Orleans, and from there start rock and roll. And from rock and roll, we get.
Okay.
Now I'm paraphrasing an 800-page book into a, but why I started going.
You're a journalist. Why not?
Yeah, I'm a journalist. Why not? Exactly. But it's a phenomenal book if anyone wants to read it. But musically, just Cuba has, you know, it's a very small island. It's only 11 million people. Because among other things, it has no transport infrastructure. It has many microclimates. So if you travel 20 miles in Cuba, it's really like traveling 300 miles in America. You really are in a different microclimate. And musically, that's fascinating because every region has its own sound, has its own people, has its own culture, has its own, it's really extraordinary. It's like a whole continent in a small island.
Okay. Steve, what made you want to go, hey, I want to have a part of this?
Well, I know Gianluca for many years. We used to work together at my studio in New York, the Magic Shop. And Gianluca was an assistant there in the early 90s and worked on some really cool sessions, Sonic Youth, the Ramones. So I've known Gianluca for many years. And when he returned from one of his many trips to Cuba, he sent me an email with one track that he recorded. And I believe he asked, do you think we could make the shaker a little louder or something specific? And when I heard the track, I was completely transported. And I just wrote him back instantaneously. And I said, what is this? Please tell me more. And that's sort of how I got involved in the project.
All right. Okay. So let's hear one of those tracks. Maybe it's not the one, but one of them. This is Mickey and his brothers. And Gianluca, tell me, preface it. What are we about to experience? Yeah.
Well, this was one of the hangs, I suppose. Mickey Key, who is the person playing the tres, is a and all the brothers. Mickey Key is born into Changüí. Like a lot of the musicians. His father was a hotshot tres player back in the day. And him and all the brothers come from this sugarcane harvesting community. And they all play, you know, there's 17 of them. They all play Changui. And they all play Changui a lot, all the time. And I went with Mickey Key really up into to meet his brothers and his family. His sisters play too. All 17 of them play. And I recorded his brothers have a band. And I recorded them at home. I think we might even play a clip of that later on. And afterwards, you know, it was a family reunion Changui style. A lot of these recordings in the box are hangs rather than recording sessions. So, you know, the rum came out and more rum came out, and it's sort of a collision of good vibes, 100-degree heat, and cheap rum. And it was really the Mikiki doesn't live in the community anymore. He lives in Guantanamo City. He plays with a ton of different groups. His brothers still live out in this community. They all harvest sugarcane all day, and they play changui in the evening. And it was a family reunion, changui style. And they're just chopping out some great music together, and just everyone joining in. Yeah.
All right, let's check it out on Sound. All right. That was beautiful.
So, Derek, you should know that that's what you call a world premiere, because no one has seen that clip.
Are you serious?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, no one's seen that clip before, Derek. So that's an extraordinary clip and a world premiere, and you get to see the brilliance of what Gianluca was able to accomplish, right? In the middle of the song, in the middle of the performance. There he is with his handheld mic. And I don't know if you noticed on the floor, there was the shotgun pointing to the marimbula, right? Which is that sort of bass instrument that you hear in the recordings. So
it sounds good.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily well recorded, and you get a really great idea of what the experience was through that video.
All right. If you're just tuning in, I gotta figure out the verbiage for live stream than radio. If you're just checking us out, I'm here with Gianluca Tramontana and Steve Rosenthal. We're talking about Changui. Am I pronouncing it right? Changui?
Changui.
Changui. Sorry.
Yeah.
Changui.
Yeah, it's an odd word.
Guantanamo. And a world premiere. Thank you for that. Recorded live in Cuba.
I played them back the recording afterwards, and they never heard themselves recorded before. They totally jumped up in the air and was.
Yeah, that's an extraordinary thing, right, Derek? I mean,
that is an extraordinary thing. So when you think of Cuba, you think of music, obviously, and you think that everybody's a musician, and this is, of course, Western developed world prudence. Everybody's recording themselves all the time. Unfortunately, we are. Let me see the box set. It's so pretty. Let's actually do a proper. A proper manifestation, because you spend some coin on that thing. It's serious.
Yeah, well, thank you to
let me open it.
John Sopkia.
Yeah,
look at this. Oh, great. We got an opener video too. This is great. This is for our YouTube video. So,
but I bite my nails.
Look, do you want me to use mine?
Oh, is it open?
And a full bar. Look, maybe it's time to.
Mine's open.
It's always time. It's always time, Barry.
Yeah, here we go. So. Here's the box. This is great. I always wanted to do one of these.
Okay, got to lift it up so we can see it.
Sorry.
Go. Nicely done.
And then there's a lovely.
That's
book.
The tress on the cover.
Lovely book.
That's that
opens up.
That's that tress.
And how many photos, Gianluca?
Oh, in the book, 100 and something, I think.
Right, and all of the songs have been translated to English, so you can sort of learn what people are actually singing.
Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous.
Right, here are the 3 CDs.
Well done. You guys are taking me back to like the late 90s when people would spend time building something. So thank you for that. And also, it's available, so you can get the box set on Bandcamp, right? You can actually because you can stream it. Obviously, you can go to Spotify.
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon, Bandcamp.
But the actual thing in and of itself is that's gorgeous work. Petaluma Records.
Yay!
High five.
Yeah.
And John Sopkia was fantastic because he could have backed out. In the last couple of years, he had very legitimate excuses and reasons to back out and scale down, and he stuck with us all the way. So,
wonderful. John, thank you, and thanks, John, for putting us together. And also,
of course.
And Dave Sanford, who is a master promoter. It takes a village, my friends. It takes a village.
It does take a village.
Okay, so not everybody in Cuba is a musician. And Cuba is, so how you think of Havana, you think of major cities, you think of and I personally have a really interesting relationship with Cuba because I grew up in a communist country. And that was also some of the first music I heard because it was all part of the Comintern. But it's obviously it's different. It is, there's economic issues. And if you're talking about Guantanamo as the deep South, there's a whole bunch of other issues that are going on there. Let's talk about that for a little bit. It's like, there are light-skinned Cubans and dark-skinned Cubans. How does that work out in Cuba under communism, or is it like Brazil? Not Brazil? How's that work?
Well, one thing to say is that Changui existed long before Fidel, and it will last long after Marco Rubio. Yeah, so it's a celebration of life and of culture. So the box set is not really political music.
Good.
It's an expression and a celebration of Cuban humanity.
So changui is also, it's a Congolese word. So that was the culture that came in with slaves. And it still held on. And one of the things that I try to do with Sama is highlight music that actually helps people through hard times. So obviously, two things. These are workers. You could tell they're not technologists. They're not like, they're buff. Their stuff is going on. And it feels like there's a sense of community and the fact that they're working all day and then they get together and play music instead of like Netflix and chill. There's something that they're getting from this. And can you speak to that? Because it's one of the things that I've experienced it and I've seen it. And I want to highlight that, like music as a transformative energy, not so much even as like I'm watching a show. Thank you. Here's some money. But how is that? How is that working in the community?
It is the community, really. So Changui literally does mean party. The word you're referring to, it's two Congolese words mushed together. We assume to mean jump for joy, and it's very much a communal, holistic. Firstly, it's oral history handed down. The history books tell us from about the top down, right? Mm-hmm. We know that Guantanamo is sugarcane, and we know that it was coffee, but they didn't jump on the boats by themselves. Bloody hands and broken backs put them on the boats, but those stories are not told in any book. And Changui is an oral history of the people that did that. It's really the French wine drinkers have a word terroir, right? Where you can drink a glass of wine from a region and it'll tell you everything about the region, the climate, the people, the landscape, and everything. And all roots music has that to a degree. And Changui is literally that, because the songs are really, a lot of these musicians don't have mementos of their grandparents, but they have their songs and they have their melodies and they have their music. And it's also about the food. It's about the dancing. It's about a Changui would start after working the fields. Changui is also used in old school dialect to use like a party, like let's go to a Changui, let's go to a disco, let's go. So a Changui would start after field work on Friday, and the whole community would join in with homemade instruments. A tres player would start churning out riffs, and they'd still be doing it Monday morning. Different musicians would rotate in and out of the evening. It might move from one house to another. Communities, other plantation communities and rural communities from the surrounding, they'd hear the bongos because the bongos travel the furthest, and they'd start turning up. A pig would end up on a spit. People would make cakes, rum, obviously. So it's sort of like a community barn. There's an expression in America, right? Barn raising.
Yeah.
And it's essentially a musical barn raising. Everybody participates, and everyone's a Changuizero, from whoever puts the pig on the spit to whoever's house the party is happening in. Oh. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. It's vivid.
Yeah,
I want to actually. Did you want to stay?
Oh, did I want to stay? Yeah, I did stay. Well, I did stay. Yes.
I know, but it's curious because I'm gonna throw a couple of things at you guys in a little bit, but it is a sense of, as I've been doing the show and I've been talking to people all over the world, the people from developed countries, the AKA rich countries, have been having the hardest time dealing with this pandemic on a psychological level, because people have been isolated or alone, or like they're out of their group. But the people that are living in the developing countries, poor countries, that in some respects are going through the hardest time, there's less depression. There's actually because they have a sense of community. and these I don't call them rituals, but these practices. It's just like we're gonna get together. We're gonna spend time together. We're going to this thing's gonna. The way you described it, there'll be food, there'll be music, and it's gonna go through Monday, and it's an opportunity for people to connect in a way that recharges them. That we here in the West just don't get as much anymore. We're kind of like tied away. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I don't want to go over too far on it because I want to see more music. But let's now. I'm going to show Los Flores del Changüí.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about this.
Well, Las Flores del Changüí is an all-female group. Changui is a life. You're born into it, and everyone in Las Flores.
What does that mean? It's a life. You're born to it. Exactly.
Well, you're born into it because you're born in a plantation community, perhaps, where everyone is doing Changui. You just grow up listening to it, playing it. No one watches Changui. Everyone gets involved in it. So if you don't play a tres, you may shake maracas or sing or dance. It's largely improvised, actually. So it's a lot of call and response, and it's an open circle. You join in and you give it some, whether you're a dancer or a singer, or whether you want to shake or scrape a guayo, or if you don't have a guayo, a machete with a sharpener on it. If you don't have a marimbala, you might hit some bottles on the ground to make the marimbala sound. You're part of it. Everyone is on equal footing. It's an open circle. It's so you're born into it. And it's a life, really, a lifestyle. It's what you are. It's not what, and when you die, when Changuizeros die, their fellow Changuizeros play Changui at the casket, and they play Changui at the burial. So you are a Changuizero or a Changuizera from the cradle to the grave, quite literally.
One thing I should say about Las Flores is that they were the last group that Gianluca recorded before the pandemic.
Yeah.
He went back. When he had recorded them earlier on one of his earlier trips, and the two of us were not that happy with the sound of the recordings. So sort of pretty much right before the pandemic, he went back to Cuba and got these recordings of Las Flores. Yeah,
some of the instruments are quite, how should I put it, delicately rustic. So, Floridia, bless her tres was, I figured out, I got her a new one and like that. And then there was a real instrument involved, and they were thrilled and I was thrilled. And I went back while we were mixing it and recorded them with a real instrument. And they're marvelous. They are an all-female group. They're based in Guantanamo City. But they all come from rural communities, and they're all born into Changui. The band leader, Floridia, who's the tres player and writes many of the songs, learned to play tres from her grandmother, and her daughter plays in the group as well. So she's part of a 4-generation lineage from, so the great, so that's that. And there have been women in Changui. There's a lot of women in Changui, actually.
Okay.
Musicians, and also the women that throw a Changui, that open their homes, are highly respected. They're considered like patrons of the arts, really, because they allow for the flow. So Las Flores del Changui, very, very talented group.
Okay, let's hear it right now. Ensemble.
Patrona de Cuba, mamá, señorito Chum, eres patrona de Cuba. Oye, protege a los cubanos, patrona de Cuba, mamá, señorito Chum, eres patrona de Cuba. Tú eres la dueña de la canela, patrona de Cuba, mamá, señorito Chum, eres patrona de Cuba. Tú eres la dueña de las flores, patrona de Cuba.
was beautiful. Los Flores
Yeah.
del Changüí. Is that a world premiere too, or is that seen before?
Is it Steve? I think it might be actually.
What was that? I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Is that a world premiere also?
Yeah, you bet. Another
Oh,
world
cool.
premiere. I just
am
checked.
Blessed. I am blessed here. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
This is awesome.
really
It's
amazing.
beautiful work, and it's incredibly timely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got a record that's coming out. I prefaced this before, but I wanted to bring this up right now. Of course, obviously, we can't be looking at concerts quite yet,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a incredible surge of Cuban music during Buena Vista, and Cuban music has come up, throughout history. It's like
Sure.
it cycles through, because of the proliferation of streaming and the proliferation of like access to everything. There might be a chance, there's a whole generation that might be really interested in discovering more about this music. Right now, we're dealing with like 60,000 songs uploaded to Spotify every day. It's hard to bubble up. Yeah, I know, and only like less than 2% get played more than once. So it's kooky. It's a kooky time.
Yeah.
But this stuff is, and it's got video, and there's something to it that transcends somebody who's like, hey, I got a laptop and a divorce, I'm going to play some songs.
Jerry, that's funny. Dude.
What? This is the first time you've experienced something like this?
That's funny.
What do we do to bubble that up and to make that work? And the best way is to...
Well, it's a really wonderful question, and it's a deep question about how you get traction, on a project based on music, right? Which is soulful, real, spontaneous. And the short answer is it's difficult. And, people, I think, though, during lockdown, and even though we're sort of in a modified lockdown now, in some ways we still are, they've been exploring different kinds of music. And my hope is through the net and through this release that they will get an opportunity to experience this. It shows what life can be like on the other side of the pandemic. Yeah.
Yes.
That we can be back to the point where we get together and we can play together and sing and enjoy music together. So since we can't still really do that, although like you said before that Lollapalooza, they just sort of did that.
Yeah, I mean, there's money. And
Right.
So as long as there's money, but this is interesting. It's different. Maybe I'm showing my age, but I feel that there's more to this than just putting a bunch of butts in seats and charging tickets. There's an opportunity for education. There's an opportunity to enhance people's lives beyond just like one show. And I'd love to play a part in that, because I would love to take everybody on the future in a van and just go and have these dinners and have these amazing artists play in parts in like not just in the big cities, but in like, I just did this whole cross country trip, and there's like beautiful like Rapid City in South Dakota it would be awesome. It would pack it out, and it would be just so wonderful because, this is Cuba. It's our neighbor. It's like literally, it's like in Miami, right there. And
well, I think, if you divorce the politics and you think about the humanity and the culture, then it resonates completely differently. Yeah. So we look at everything through this political prism, right? Because of, who and all the craziness we've been living through. But in this particular case, this is really about humanity and about communication. And I think you're right. And I know Gianluca's in contact with the musicians, regularly.
Yeah.
And those that have phones, of course, right?
Yeah.
Because there are lots that
Very
don't.
few. Yeah.
Right.
how's the internet in Guantanamo City?
No, the internet's pretty bad actually, but I'm in touch with. There's not many actually have phones and cell phones and whatnot. So you know, everyone in the box are not musicians to me. They're sort of my family at this point. So we have intimate contact. I let everyone know what's going on. I'll let them know that we talk tomorrow. I'll send. So the internet is very spotty. It's I usually send word through a daisy chain of my Changüí relations, of my Changüí family. So, you know, I call one person and there's a whole daisy chain of communication, and it comes back to me. So yeah, that's how that goes. But yeah.
Okay. So, you know, because ideally that's what would happen. You release a record, and then there's
and bring them over, yeah.
And then so there's it works. And it would be great to have this happen. But let's talk a little bit about what's life like now in Cuba. And you were talking about this in another interview, that they're musicians, so they get a card, so they actually get a little bit of money from the government. But they're also workers, and so we all know, unless you're living in a hole, that Cuba, most of the world is going through an economic turmoil right now. So people are doing what they can. But as musicians and as people, what's life like now for them in Guantanamo? How are they dealing?
Oh, well, I mean, there's a humanitarian crisis happening there right now. There's a certain point where a political crisis is a political crisis, but when a nation runs out of food and medicine, it's a humanitarian crisis. So that's happened already. So now it's a humanitarian crisis. So they're not doing too well. There's a lot of problems there, COVID being the main one, or COVID, the knock-on effects of COVID. But, you know, everyone's they're pretty hardy out there. So, you know, they do deal with it a lot better than we would deal. So I don't know. I have a Cuban friend that told me, you know, well, we're good at this. We've been doing this for a long time. The first time I went to Cuba was a periodo especial, and that was no joke. So yeah, I can't. Sadly, I'm unable to go. Otherwise, I'd have a more detailed answer. Life is always hard in Cuba, as it is in a lot of Latin America. Yeah. So, and Guantanamo is particularly hard. So, you know, well, as soon as the borders open and I can go back, I'll have a better answer.
Will you go?
Would I go? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're planning. Is that part of like because you got this new? I'm always curious. It's like so you're releasing a record. You've got the label, and then there's like it's kind of like a kid, you know, for a while. It's kind of like okay, I'm going to be with this and doing this stuff. So you've got the record. What are you doing these interviews, which I'm grateful for? Yeah. But what's the short-term and long-term plan with this? Because it's not like, you know, off you go, casino circuit. It's like,
I think, you know, I could talk about this a little bit. Okay. So this is really a project that's going to grow over time, right? If you think about roots music projects and you think about how the public learns about them, it takes time to break through the sort of wall of noise and all of the music that's being released. So this is a long-term project for Gianluca and I, and for John at the label. And we're involved in strategizing and releasing music. We've had a wonderful reception from college and non-commercial radio. We've been #1 on the non-commercial and college radio Latin chart for 4 weeks now, which is just absolutely just a gas. So I think we're in it for the sort of slow roll up, and we're trying to, at this point, you know, initiate people's awareness of the music and of what Gianluca was able to accomplish there. You know, there's going to be a whole sort of experience and a whole a bunch of activity around the Buena Vista 25th anniversary, right? Yeah. So, which is coming this year as well. And so maybe there will be more attention to Cuban music through that as well.
Totally. And this sounds, I mean, that was part of the press release, and obviously if you listen to it, it's like this sounds like a lot of the work in the Buena Vista Social Club. So speaks to a whole other book of like, hey, this is how this sound originated.
Yeah, music. Well, so this is the realm of ethnomusicology that I'm not qualified necessarily, but
I know you
ethnomusicologists.
are.
Well, I think I
Uh-oh.
am, which is different. But no,
Uh-oh.
ethnomusicologists say that Changui.
I think I'm going to go make some oatmeal.
Oh,
Yeah.
anyway,
Put
no,
your
but
socks and Birkenstocks on.
Nick Gold actually wrote a lovely, who executive produced Buena Vista Social Club, wrote a lovely little blurb for us, which was very kind of him and generous.
Yeah. Let's. Can we read it? I mean, let me see if I think I have it here.
Oh yeah,
Shall
I read it out?
Yes, please.
Okay, so it goes, I fell in love with Cuba, its people and its music long before working on the Buena Vista Social Club project. The country from Punta de Maicí in the east to Maria la Gorda in the far west has so much to offer that even after close to 30 years of traveling through the island, I feel I've only just touched the surface. This glorious set is a case in point. The Guantanamo region has so much culture to discover. Many musicologists consider Changüí the predecessor of the song we recorded on Buena Vista Social Club, and I can hear it too.
Perfect.
Yeah,
This is
very.
awesome.
Yeah, he was the first person that told me I wasn't crazy. So
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Don't believe everybody, but believe him.
You know, the
and
relationship,
Steve.
the relationship between Changui and San is sort of like the relationship between Robert Johnson and the Allman Brothers, right? So the Buena Vista is an urban, you know, more sophisticated music, and Changui is its rural roots.
Oh
That's
yeah,
great
that's a good
metaphor.
way of doing it.
That's a good metaphor. That's perfect. It's great to have you here. The record's out. The record is out. The box set is out on all the platforms. But like I always say to everybody, spend some coin, go to Bandcamp, and buy the box set and have it on your coffee table. It looks beautiful. There's
Thank
great
you.
photography in there. And Changui,
Thanks,
the
sir.
Sound of Guantánamo. Thank you, Gianluca. Thank you, Steve. Love to have
Thank
you
you,
back on
Derek.
again.
I'd love it. Yeah, anytime.
Let's we're gonna finish with Melaquides y su Changui.
Yeah, Melquiades. Yeah,
Melquiades. Speak to this.
So Melquiades, you know, I was saying at the beginning that Mikiki comes from the Changui family, and again born into Changui. And Melquiades is one of his brothers that lives up in the. He was the one dancing on the porch, actually, and holding the glass of rum. So he and his other brothers have a group. And Melquiades y su Changui, and I recorded the group as a group. Miki Key's sitting in too, and a couple of other people, neighbors, come and join in Changui style. And this is Melquiades' Miki Key's brothers, Melquiades, his actual band, his actual group, playing and singing this wonderful song at home at his house. Yeah,
perfect. Okay, thank you for checking this out.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you so much for having us on. This has been great.
We'll do
Thanks,
it again.
Derek.
Thank you. We'll put a Bandcamp link on this. We're also going to be, obviously, we're live streaming, so it's going to be on forever. We're going to do a couple of versions of this for TikTok and Instagram, help support these artists. And once again, seriously, T-shirts, even of that thread back there. It's just, I know so many, like, across the genre. Everybody from ethnomusicology hippies eating oatmeal would love to wear this T-shirt to hipsters in Williamsburg would love to wear this. This is a great thing. So thank you for being here. And once again, for everybody out there, I want to thank Dogmata. I want to thank Christine. I want to thank John, everybody that helps make Sound happen.
Yeah.
Back next week with more great music and artists and interviews. This has been fun. And please wear a mask. Everybody out there.
Okay. Yeah.
We're still in this insanity, and we'll catch you in a little bit. And enjoy this. And when you think of Cuba, think about the beautiful music and artistry and the beautiful people there, not the propaganda that you're getting from both sides.